Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are tuned in for an all-new edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative Editor-in-Chief. To my left, you know him as the host of Wrestling Night Live every Thursday night here on Nerd Initiative, but he is also one of our comic bullpen reviewers extraordinaire. Give a warm welcome to the one and only Rich.
I have been promoted to extraordinaire. You see, I was turning the page earlier. See, turning the page, right on point here. And today, we get to talk about multiple comics. Better yet, we get to talk about free comics.
And if it's free, it's for me.
Yes, indeed. And because it's in his contract, he has to do his own intro.
Coming at you live and direct straight from the ODPH studios. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative, pop culture connoisseur, Ken, Rich. Hey, we're rolling the solo tonight. Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. We do not have a guest in studio or on the line because we are celebrating one of the biggest days of comics for the calendar year, one of the biggest days in pop culture. And this is all about Free Comic Book Day, happening this Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, all around in pretty much the world, but check your local comic shops to make sure they're participating. In North America, I guarantee you they are. And this is always such a monumental day celebrating comics, and especially who would have thought way back in 2002 when they did this around the Spider-Man movie release, it would take off. 4 books kicked everything off. And then since then, it has become a staple to get fans into the shops and, more importantly, get new readers in and start checking out the great books that come out every Wednesday.
I love that you said 2002. You really make us sound like we're from the late 1900s.
Well, you know, it's been a while since we've been there.
I understand. I just had to make fun of the fact that we are old here. But you know what? In this world of digital media, it is still nice that you can go to the local comic book shop and still get comics. And I know a lot of us do, but it's also nice that you can go and get free comics once a year. That's a good time to check out some things that you might not have checked out before, get caught up on some things that maybe you didn't even know that you would like. It's a great opportunity. And every year it seems to get bigger and bigger as not only just the big 2 show up for this, but a lot of the indies out there also show up for it, and they show up and show out in a big way.
And on top of it, and I will always reiterate this, if you're someone who's not into comics, this is your best chance to walk into a store and really get the chance to walk right in and find a community. It's crazy with the fact that, you know, we've got all this stuff going on and, you know, you're not sure what you want to read, or, hey, a lot of stores, like I know even our local, they'll do like a 2-for-1 sale. So if you need back issues or whatnot, go and help them. Like, that helps clean them out and get ready for the next year. This is literally our Christmas, if you think about it in the comic book community.
It is. I mean, it's such an important day too, especially supporting the local comic shops. I mean, every week we're always down, you know, supporting, going getting the books, and especially to now more than ever, it's so important to get down there, and especially to celebrate the fandom. Like I say, you go in, you're going to find publishers you know and you're familiar with, and they have great books that we're going to be talking about, or you're going to be finding out about new ones that you haven't checked out before. Pardon us tonight. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties we're trying to work with, a little peek behind the curtain. So
I will say, depending upon what your local comic book shop is and how they're running and how we're doing, we have all sorts of different things going on. So therefore, we might actually be able, you know, some of the shops, smaller shops, are just going to give you the free comics. There might be a little, you know, sales and stuff, because it really does drive sales. But at the end of the day, we also have a lot of events going on. A lot of those are going through and shining through. Some comic book shops do like live action stuff. Some comic book shops bring in artists and writers, and they either do autographs or do some kind of like drawings and commissions and stuff. So there's a lot of cool stuff depending upon where you are. And just because maybe your local shop doesn't do that, they just have the comics, that enough is a reason to go check out and maybe spend some money, you know, so therefore you can continue to contribute to your local economy. A, and B, let's be honest, the comic book shops, you know, the local ones especially, they need that a little more than, let's just say, the big gigantic ones. Not saying that you shouldn't go to those ones as well. If that's your local comic book shop, that's fine. But hey, go into that mom and pop one, man. Make a couple different stops. If you live in an area where it's not far, you can go enjoy a lot of free comic book day, not just for the comics, but everybody might be doing something different. This comic book shop might be having a sale on trade paperbacks. This one might be having a sale on like back issues. This one might be having a sale on figures, because you have to remember, going into that, kicking it on over to our resident toy guy here, collectibles obviously run into the world of comics as well, since a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are comic related.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know typically what I'll do is I will catch up on my back issues. Like I also know like I said, our local shop does the 2-for-1 deals. So maybe I might just wait on a few particular variant covers. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take this for him.
But the best thing is, as you see the QR code that's above me tonight, that is Comic Shop Locator. So you definitely want to make sure you click on that if you're not sure where to go this weekend. But seriously, make the effort to get down there on Saturday, wherever you're at. Find your local comic shops and go in, because tonight's episode of Turn a Page, we're breaking down our picks of what you should be checking out for the free comic book days, because a lot of publishers are coming out with a lot of great books to really get you hooked on their series. And this is such a perfect time to do it. So, gentlemen, super chat, are we ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Of course. I'm always ready to talk some comics.
Let's flip through these pages.
All right. So kicking off everything for us, Boom Studios.
Boom.
They have a couple great books coming out. And everything that we're talking about is coming from the press release from the companies too. So going right from Boom, celebrate 20 years of Boom Studios with a milestone anniversary collection with some of our most iconic series, more adventures, more terror, more mystery, more fun, with curated tales from the worlds of Berserker, Something is Killing the Children, Mouse Guard, or Irredeemable, and an all new, all exclusive Hello Darkness story.
And then
don't miss
nothing. Just skip past
and don't miss out at this moment. Power Rangers fans have all been waiting for. After 30 years, the VR Troopers are going to trooper transform and are back blasting into the comic shops around the country on Free Comic Book Day in 2025. After making their long-awaited return in Power Rangers Prime, thank you, Melissa Flores, this issue will be the fans' sneak peek at a new era of virtual reality powered action, alongside a special flip book calling back to the original 1995 comics.
Of course, you wanted to open with that just to get him out of the shell. Huh?
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night,
yes, that's it.
But let's talk about. But
before we get to the more Power Rangers, because you can talk about it forever. I just want to point out the first half of it, because there's something.
Oh yeah.
Hello Darkness is near and dear to my heart. I've been reviewing that book now since issue 1. It's a very good anthology horror book series that Boom has been doing. If you're into horror stories, of course, Something is Killing the Children also in that realm as well. But Hello Darkness has really, really stepped it up. Nice little short ones. Some of them are just one and done. Some of them have continued on for some issues. So it's really cool that you're going to get a good story there. Of course, Berserker. What can you say about Berserker?
The Keanu Reeves story there has been absolutely mind-blowing to see, and especially now it's spawning into more stories coming out of that original 12-issue run. And obviously there's been some talk about it going to live actions. There's a lot of things that are building up around that. So you can't ever go wrong with that series. And then, of course, arguably one of the best books coming out and is returning to shops this week is Something is Killing the Children. So that one, if you're not familiar with, it's the perfect time to get involved and check that story out.
Anything that James Tynion is doing is probably a good idea to check out. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Check out Exquisite Corpses when it comes out. But that's a whole other story for another day.
It definitely is.
It's a review up on Nerd Initiative's.
Speaking of Something Killing the Children, is that still being optioned for TV?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's still on for Netflix.
So that is a prime example of something you need to go pick up on Free Comic Book Day to get your feet wet, so you understand what's going on.
And especially too, for anyone that is just familiar with the shows or the movies, this is a perfect time to see the stories that they're based off of. So you are familiar with what the directions it's going in. It's not going to spoil anything, because sometimes the shows and movies differ a little bit, but you get the gist, so you can be the one that's guiding your friends and family about what they should be checking out at the shops. Great one to kick off with. Next up, Dark Horse Comics. And they have got 2 books coming out, covering all ages too. One, and then they have a silver edition. So, Tom, you want to take a little stab at this?
So, Dark Horse Comics, the Critical Role Free Comic Book Day short is written by Sam Maggs from Critical Role, Tales of Exandria 2, Atragan, with art colors and cover by Leonardo Sino, and letters by Ariana Mayer, also from Critical Role Vox Machina Origins #4. Black Hammer to Tomorrow is written by Jeff Lemire, Black Hammer The End, with art by Letizia Candassini from House of Slaughter, colors by Dave Stewart from Paranoid Gardens, and letters by Nate Picos of Blambot, Stranger Things, and Dungeons & Dragons crossover, featuring 2 new stories suitable for all ages and are set in the worlds of Star Wars and Avatar: The Last Airbender, respectively. This issue will be available in participating comic book shops on Free Comic Book Day.
I just want to point out that that was not our fault. That was the release. So yes, that was 2 different things. So you have the first book has got the 2 stories coming out of the Critical Role era, and then the other stuff is for more of the children. But once again, we are just reading them from press releases. So I just want to make sure people aren't confused.
No, because that's one thing. Because Dark Horse is doing something. A lot of the companies are doing too. They're doing one strictly for all ages, and they're doing one for an older audience per se.
Which is awesome.
Which is great, because that's the whole thing. You want to bring young children in and show them the beauty of comics, because there's so many great stories to get kids involved in reading and getting involved in becoming fans.
And also as a Star Wars fan, and not just as a fan, it's nice to see something that can get kids in, and because there's so much you can grow from there. And I'm not just talking about the movies, but you have the TV shows, you have cartoons, you have other realms to kind of grow that fandom. And that's kind of nice that you would pick that. The same with Avatar: The Last Airbender, very popular for younger kids. It's a good gateway into other things, because most people, if you start watching Avatar, you're going to go into different animes on top of a lot of other things. And then for adults, hitting up the Critical Role stuff, D&D with a little more of an adult attitude is pretty much Critical Role, which will, we can talk about that as a whole other side. But just talking about this gives everybody a little something. And also, if you're somebody who's like, hey, comic books aren't really for me all the time because I'm not really wanting to hear superheroes, and this is the perfect example of something that is different, doing the Critical Role D&D stuff.
I love the fact that, like you said, Avatar, with the new series coming out shortly, I believe next year, it's a nice just refresher. It keeps the franchise going. I'm all for it. Oddly thing is that everybody knows I play a lot of D&D. I usually have 4 characters floating in my head at any single given time.
That is true.
It's true. Shut up. What do you mean?
By the way, if you ever need a character, reach out. He can help you with that.
Seriously, I write great backstories. The funny thing is that I know nothing of D&D lore. Nothing. 40 years of D&D, and I know nothing of D&D lore because I just write such good backstories. I don't need the rest. Whatever.
But it's a perfect time to get involved with it, especially if you go down there. I mean, gaming is such a big part of comic shops as well, too. So it's a perfect time if you want to learn the fandoms. This is the way to do it, from cosplay to gaming and all sorts that really become celebrating a fan.
Got it.
Next one up. This is one of my personal favorites that I'm looking forward to. So Super Chat, and my esteemed panel tonight. Who here is fans of the DC All-In movement and the Absolute universe?
We were called esteemed.
Yes,
I love it. Absolutely. Of course, I'm a big fan. Of course, the first up of the big 2. I'll read since everybody's taking turns here. First up, DC's Free Comic Book Day flipbook. The core line DC Universe soars into Superman action with the dazzling debut of superstar writer Dan Slott alongside acclaimed artist Raphael Albuquerque and colorist Marcelo Malo. I said that wrong. I know. Sorry. I apologize. In this special 0-issue installment of the forthcoming Superman Unlimited ongoing series, you will witness the prelude to the biggest Superman comic book adventure of the year, as well as an ominous new threat from the heavens that will change the course of Kryptonian life on planet Earth as we know it. So big time Superman story coming out right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So
if you haven't been checking out what's been going on in the Superman universe, they have really been positioning themselves to really live up to that Summer of Superman billing, which I know leading into the movie has been such a key point. But right now, what's been going on in Joshua Williamson's run has really capped off with a mile. I mean, it lives up to the billing on the cover. It's a milestone 25th issue. And then with Dan Slott now coming over too, and this is a perfect time to get in. If you haven't checked out the Summer of Superman special, try saying that 3 times fast. It's been one that has really been opening fans up to get excited, not only just for the movie, but for the character as well. Because think of it, it's been around for 80 plus years now to really capture what a true essence of a superhero is. It's amazing. And then to kind of go into the darker side of things.
Ooh, they literally said in the release, then on the flip side of DC's Free Comic Book Day flip book, DC's Absolute Universe expands in a new story by Jeff Lemire, Giuseppe Camicoli, and Stefano Nasi. Dork forces begin to gather in the shadows, forces that have been waiting a very long time to shape events and seize control. All the while, a mysterious figure watches. But who is this powerful new character? Ooh, powerful new character even. And what do they want with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of the emerging heroes?
Wow.
I feel like that is a really, really good. Whoever wrote this press release, they got me pumped up for this because new hero?
I mean,
new character?
The Absolute Universe is one that's ever evolving. So, I mean, that's the one thing that you can jump into. I mean, and right now, that whole universe has not missed. And I think it has one of the best books out right now by which is Absolute Martian Manhunter.
Yep. And I will put on this as far as new characters concerned, considering the fact that we are now getting new interpretations of characters in this Absolute Universe. It could be a new Justice League, or it could be a new villain. It could be just done in this new Absolute lens. So, and if they can make a whole new character in the Absolute Universe, I'm for it. And I'd love to see how they, when Absolute Universe finally gets sucked in, because let's be honest, it's DC, so they're gonna have another crisis at some point. How it gets absorbed in.
Hopefully not too soon, because everything they've been doing on this has been absolutely on point. I
agree. The Absolute Universe has really, really been good for us. And I do want to also throw out the shout out on this one is that they're doing something also unique here. You can get at participating shops the Free Comic Book Day, what we just listed. However, there is also an available foil variant cover that you can purchase for $4.99 at certain shops as well. So that's kind of a nice little collector's edition if you would like, if you're a collector.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple multi-variants, and you just have to check with your shops about when they're going on sale. Like, they're going to be different than the ones you're going to be able to pick up for Free Comic Book Day. So make sure to check with your shops about what they're doing exactly for that, because DC's not the only one doing that. And then next up, and DC does have a couple all ages books coming out as well too. So there's going to be a lot of DC for everybody there. But this is the one that obviously I think had everybody buzzing right now because of what it is. In chat, super chat, I want to know your favorite characters in the Absolute Universe. Hit us up, let us know. And now we're going to take a trip to Tom's favorite
here it comes.
Land of Disney.
That's right.
So let's talk about it, Tom.
My zippity doo dah dorks. That's right. We have Gargoyles Demona. Now, if you haven't seen our episode with Greg Weisman here on Turn a Page, all right, when you're done with this episode, scroll back, watch the episode. Me and Josh had a wonderful chat again with Greg Weisman. This is going to kick off the next run of Gargoyles Demona. So after kicking off with the special prologue story in Dynamite's Entertainment Free Comic Book Day issue number 0, the long-awaited tale of Goliath's former lover and sworn enemy of the Manhattan Clan gets underway in earnest with a return to the Dark Ages and aftermath of the destruction of Castle Werburn. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Like, you need to go look. If you miss getting this issue 0, because you know what, sometimes we all have lives, things happen. Trust me, you're not going to completely miss out, because the way that a lot of comic books are written is that you don't have to have this issue 0, but you want this issue 0.
Well, especially too with what they've been doing now with the Disney properties over at Dynamite.
It's perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like they've been really nailing all the points too. And they're still providing like a lot of great animated properties over there. I know Richie been covering Thundercats a lot.
Thundercats, definitely. Of course, you also have Space Ghost, which I think is in my opinion, the pinnacle of comic books coming out. So shout outs to Space Ghost as well.
Until Captain Planet.
Well, yes, but Captain Planet also in Dynamite, just to go to prove that Dynamite's doing a lot of really, really cool stuff for all ages too, because they have a little bit for everybody. I do know that they're also on Free Comic Book Day. Speaking of it, real quick, Thundercats and the Powerpuff Girls number 0 as well is coming out. So when you're talking all ages, this is not the Thundercats line that I'm reviewing every week by Declan Shelby. This is the actual, like, more of the cartoony one for children, and you're mixing it with Powerpuff Girls, which is tremendous, because it not only reaches a young audience, because it's meant for a young audience, but it also reaches an audience of our age, because we grew up on these things as well. So it's really, really kind of cool stuff that they're doing at Dynamite, crossing some streams and making some really cool things happen.
That book is definitely going to be hardcore.
Yeah, definitely. I already know chat Cat's in the chat, and I know
Cat
this
in the chat.
has got this locked up. Which rightfully so. I mean, that's the one great thing is if you're wanting to get familiar with a certain fandom and property, this is a perfect time to go check the series out. And then this is like I say, it's gonna be a gateway. Either you're gonna love it or you're gonna pass on it. But at least you have that option there for no cost.
Yeah, exactly. That's the nice part about an issue 0 as well. Is like you're going to get this for free. If it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. Pass on it. You didn't spend any money on it, but at least you got to check it out.
Yep.
So
next up, though, our friends over at IDW Publishing doing a lot of big things here.
Man, they're talking to me these days. I don't know what's going on with this. First and foremost, this is just making me do more work. So thank you, IDW.
Yeah.
On a separate note. But two of my favorite things is if you know anything about the Bullpen, as I do a lot of Godzilla stuff. I also do a lot of horror. And boy, did they load up their free comic book day for me. So first of all, let's start with Godzilla. Readers who pick up the Godzilla free comic book day issue will be treated to an exclusive first look at the brand new universe that offers a fresh exploration of what it means to be a Godzilla comic. And yes, they're doing multiple different stories by Tim Seeley, Ethan S. Parker, and Griffin Sheridan, Oliver Ono. Pretty much they have a little bit of everything in here. It's a giant issue. It's a preview of what IDW's got for coming in for the King of Monsters in 2025. But that's not all. They also have a lot of horror because announced during New York Comic Con, the horror imprint IDW Dark, which we were wondering when we were finally going to get the reveal. Guess what? It happens on Free Comic Book Day.
Yep.
Has nightmares for every type of reader, from new tales within the worlds of the acclaimed horror movies and shows to terrifying and bold original stories. IDW Dark, find your new fear. Free Comic Book Day 2025 will present a frightening first look at, ready for it, the long-anticipated sequel, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, the sequel to the Eisner-nominated hit series from Patrick Horvath. And of course, speaking of things that were movies, 30 Days of Night, Falling Sun, a chilling expansion of IDW's legacy vampire franchise from co-creator Steve Niles and award-winning writer Rodney Barnes. By the way, Rodney Barnes, tremendous writer across the board, but especially in horror. If you were not reading the Philadelphia books, oh boy, I can't wait to see this on 30 Days of Night.
Yeah, this is going to be two books you definitely need to get involved with. IDW is really making a push with Godzilla. Their stuff has been absolutely incredible. And to see that IDW Dark is really kicking in a high gear, that's a high, like the fact that we have such a high level of storyteller and creators coming in for this. And especially now the sequel to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is going to be one of the most talked about books of all of 2025.
Thanks, Ken.
True story. I got handed a ash can of that at Comic-Con a couple years ago, and when they first announced it. And at first, without reading it, I was with Ken. We both look at this and go, this ain't for us, because we didn't really look. We just saw this cute little on the surface. Before you really look, we saw this cute little cover, and we're just like, oh, somebody handed us a kiddie book. Later, we are sitting at the hotel room as we do after the day. We're unwinding, we're pulling stuff out of our bags, and Ken goes, you need to look at that cover. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? The cute, just look at the cover. And we just, but without opening the issue, we just went, what is this?
Yep.
And it was off to the races from there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I did a few reviews of them too, and I had no idea what I was getting myself to, because I think we were just coming off like Grandma Chainsaw and the other stuff. So I was kind of I was dipping my toe in the horror genre, and Ken sends this to me, and I'm like, what? And like when I did that review, I like totally did it like a Reading Rainbow episode too. But you'll have to take my word for it.
No, it's definitely one that is worth all the praise to, and especially seeing the creators involved. Like I said, I can't stress this enough. IDW is making some big moves. I know that Valiant, with their new deal, Valiant does have a free comic book day book slated to come out. I don't know if that's still on track or not. So keep an eye out for that, because I know that they're going to be starting their venture in a few months. So this could be a lead in for that too. So definitely want to shout them out on that. Next up, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one I have circled. The Energon Universe 2025 special from Skybound Entertainment and Image Comics. One of our favorites here at the Bullpen. And I will take this one.
You of course. I was
going
to
say.
We're just
going to
sit back and watch.
Discover all new stories from the Energon universe with stunning revelations from the worlds of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals from the biggest names in comics. Energon universe talent Joshua Williamson, Robert Kirkman, and Daniel Warren Johnson penned the stories with Andrea Miliana Connor Hughes and Johnson providing art. And Miliana is also serving as the artist for the Free Comic Book Day exclusive cover, which is not on here, I believe, because I think this one is the Daniel Warren Johnson. So it's even more incentive to get down to the shops and see. And this is some of the preview art. The Skybound Entertainment was very gracious to send us over in the press release.
Look at Jazz. Just look at him.
It looks amazing. And I also want to point out, this is something that they've really, like, every year since they've launched the Energon universe, Skybound really does an amazing job at Free Comic Book Day.
Very much.
And they always bring the fire, and the issue is always amazing. They're always giving you a taste of something to come, giving you really like getting into it. And they always bring you a special cover. Like every year, the Free Comic Book Day cover is a special cover. They never skip out on that. And I think that is something that puts them leaps and bounds. Like, everybody's doing great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that really goes, hey, they understand the assignment and they nail the assignment every year. And every year, like I said, if you're going to get a book, even if you're not reading the Energon universe, this is always a good book to get for collectors. And it's also a good book because if you ever thought about dipping your toe in, they're going to give you a little taste of a little bit of everything to make you really want to dive in for the next year of the Energon universe, because they kind of treat this as that jump off. Like, hey, let's get some new readers in. This is what we have to show. This is where we're going. And I think that they nail it every year. So this is a book that should be destination grab at Free Comic Book Day for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my top circled ones to pick up.
Now, on the flip side of that, remember, because Free Comic Book Day is for everyone, and we're talking about the Energon universe, on the flip side to that, Transformers is also putting out a, kid-friendly book called The Worst Bot Ever, featuring a brand new Transformer called Ballpoint.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we'll give you two guesses what the transformation is.
I don't know, but I'll write it down somewhere.
Yeah. So another great way to get involved in the Transformers universe. And like we say, everything they've done with the Energon has just been on point, no matter what book you're picking up out of 3. Everyone is done. I know G.I. Joe 6 has definitely wrapped up their first arc with a hell of an ending. And we were just getting started on the whole Transformers movement with Daniel Warren Johnson. As now a certain famous villain has now made his appearance officially in the series. So a lot of great stuff going on too. And Void Rivals, you can't go wrong with there.
It's tremendous work over there.
Next up, this one, I know Tom is circled. He's picking up one of these books at least, if not both. But
I'm definitely getting both, because one, first and foremost, over at Mad Cave Studios, we're going to be talking about David Pepos, one of Rich's favorites.
That's
who's
right.
also
one of our favorites. Yes.
As a whole, let's go with the whole.
Oh, trust me, if you just talk to Rich, he'll just go on and on.
Oh yeah.
But Pepos is doing Speed Racer. That's right. Go Speed Racer, go. David Pepos has storytelling keys to the feature story in issue 0, which ignites Mad Cave's ongoing Speed Racer series. Meanwhile, Mark Russell drives a backup tale that leads directly into a Racer X spinoff series. So we're not just getting one, but we're eventually getting 2 Speed Racer books out of Mad Cave.
And they're teasing them both on Free Comic Book Day.
Exactly. And to follow up, Mad Cave Studios has been doing the phenomenal Defenders of the Earth, but we're getting the Phantom. That's right. That's right. The Ghost That Walks, the Phantom. Lee Falk's highly influential superhero, who's one of the oldest superheroes out there. He might even predate Superman.
Yeah.
If we do the math.
I believe he does by a couple of years.
He is back in an all-new adventure series. The first story in an exciting publishing plan that is sure to satisfy both new and returning fans, PHANS, of comic books of the beloved Ghost Who Walks. In true Phantom fashion, look forward to pulpy storytelling focused on justice, honor, mystery, mythology, all told with heaps of action. And also, let me just preface this too. Mad Cave and Maverick Studios, they were talking about at their Saturday morning cartoons panel during New York Comic Con. They are also doing a crossover with King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, and also Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders, which are also still in their Saturday morning cartoons line. So if you're like me and you like your books from a franchise or something that you're familiar with, that again is also going to be a must pick up, because I really want to see how they do the dynamics of the really rocking hard, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice and Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders. Not that I know the theme songs.
I was
going to say I got nothing.
I just wanted to say somewhere right now, Billy Zane is high-fiving God.
Yeah.
Because the Phantoms is back. The Phantom is back. Once again, I'm not going to go. I promise I won't go too far in my love for David Pepos and his work. But when we did get to talk to him, we did talk briefly about Speed Racer, which I was not a fan of the show. I'm going to be honest. It predated me, and I just never got into it. But from talking to him, he looks to be taking the same kind of approach that he took to Space Ghost and what he's taking to Captain Planet. So if that's any indication, I really feel like this is going to be one hell of a ride. So even if you weren't a fan of the actual series,
hell of a ride.
Yeah, no pun intended. But if you weren't even a fan of the series, I think you can dive into this, and it's going to be a good run. And like you pointed out, Tom, the fact that we're going to get the Racer X kind of spin-off, even teased and kind of introduced here in the Zero issue is phenomenal.
In Pepos we trust. I mean, seriously, like anything that he writes is amazing too, and especially too the King Arthur stuff. Like I mean, I'm not familiar. As I was saying, Tom, that's all you like. I don't know that stuff, but I know I'm gonna probably grab that book just to take a see about what they're doing with that whole Saturday morning cartoon lineup.
I love everything in the Saturday morning cartoon lineup. I have not. I mean, you started with Gotcha Man, and then I kind of took them over, but they're killing it.
Oh yeah, no, Gotcha Man's been absolutely. Even the spinoffs too have been on point.
On a side note, I just want to point this out now. Super chat, get in on this. If you would be interested in singing along with Tom for Saturday morning shows, let us know, because maybe we can start a Patreon, because I don't think you can do that on YouTube
we actually
without getting.
We actually did that during the panel, believe it or not.
Oh,
yeah,
there
it happened. And yeah, when the Defenders of the Earth one came on, and I was the ghost that walks, everybody's like, who the hell said that? That was me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got nothing on this. This is
I
all
was
Tom.
gonna say I don't sing. Instead, I just yell at shipwreck during the Energon panel in honor of Tom. But
yes,
that's a whole nother ballgame. But once again, Patreon, maybe someday, if you guys show interest and you want to hear Tom sing all the classics from Saturday morning, well, at least from when we grew up.
I mean, life is like a hurricane.
But speaking of which, we got to kind of keep moving on with everything going on, because obviously coming in like a hurricane, Marvel Comics is not only doing 1, 2, 3, they have, I believe, 5 lined up.
5 million lined up
for the books, but they're making sure they're covering the board for everybody. We saved them for last, and kicking off what they have going on right now. This one definitely leading the pack, and with for right reasons. I mean, this is their Fantastic Four Giant Size X-Men #1, written by Ryan North, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, and Chip Zdarsky, with Humberto Ramos, Edgar Delgado, Chip Zdarsky, and Ivan Coel on the art. And in advance of the first family arriving on the big screen this summer, Ryan North and Humberto Ramos are crafting an unusual story, which the Fantastic Four respond to the most unusual interdimensional summons. And on the eve of the birth of the all-new, all-different X-Men, there's one extra mutant in attendance. Who is it? Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing tell you, plus another surprise from Chip Zdarsky. We're simply too good for you.
All right, what X-Men do you think it is?
I have no idea. I will be very honest with how it's set up with that. I don't know, but it's the hive mind, so I don't doubt them doing something. Like, they come, like everything that they do when they get on a book, they really kind of push some boundaries and really take stuff in different directions. I love seeing that as a reader. And then especially too with North and Ramos taking over the Fantastic Four book for a reset this summer. I'm excited to see what they're doing there. I mean, what Ryan North has been doing right now with the Doom storyline and everything involved with it too has been on point. Like I say, Marvel is really kicking into high gear, especially surrounding the movies. I know this week Thunderbolts comes out, and there'll be some momentum coming out of that. But when Fantastic Four hits, and especially too with Superman being shortly around there too on the release, what a time to be a fan of the comics.
Can I speculate real quick here? The way this is written, it says one extra mutant in attendance. Okay. Where's Kamala at right now? Is she in a mainline team?
She's on NYX.
Okay. So never mind. That's my only idea as the extra kind of idea.
It could be anybody. I mean, that's the whole thing. They have a lot of room to play with. So from the press release, we're just gonna have to go and speculate. Super chat, throw your picks in.
Even going on with that, though, it is interesting that both obviously DC and Marvel have gotten it this year. As far as, hey, we have 2 gigantic movies coming out. Why wouldn't we showcase on Free Comic Book Day new runs for that? Because obviously we talked DC with Superman earlier. And obviously here we're doing Fantastic Four. So it is nice that they are melding into the world, even though, yes, they're separate stories from what we're getting on the big screen. They're melding the worlds together, and it's actually bringing all the fans in. So I think that this is really a good move for Marvel as well as DC earlier. So yeah, very good stuff going on this year.
The next up, Amazing Spider-Man and the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
So this is one that, when we talk about big books right now, I don't think you get any larger at Marvel than the Ultimates right now. And with what Dennis Camp has been doing with that title line has really been pushing the envelope of creativity. And as a fan, it's amazing to check out. But for this special, according to the press release, is written by Joe Kelly, Dennis Camp, and Cody Ziegler, with art by John Romita Jr. and Jonas Scharf. So Kelly and Romita Jr. remind us who Peter Parker and Spider-Man are, plus an exclusive prologue to this summer's blockbuster Ultimate event by Dennis Camp, Cody Ziegler, and Jonas Scharf. So there is a lot happening here, and according to the preview art which Marvel sent, this is what's going on in the Spider-Man book, and then this is what's going on in the Ultimates book. So,
little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah.
Rhino's looking a lot like RoboCop these days.
Well, that's the maker right there.
The maker. It looks like Rhino.
That's
no.
That's the
I've
phallic.
not been reading.
Reed Richards.
I honestly do not read Spider-Man.
No, that's the Ultimate Universe.
That's Ultimate?
That's a whole different. See, that's why you should pick up the book on Free Comic Book Day.
And that's the old school Ultimate Universe, as a matter of fact, correct?
Well, if you're reading right now, there's a lot of moving parts involved.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of sum it up for that. That'll be saved for another time. Maybe we'll actually cover that on here on a future episode. Turn a page.
Yeah, I think the Council of Reeds might be fun.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. Next up, though, we just actually had the pleasure of speaking to one of the creators behind this, and that is Star Wars #1. So this is Alex Segura, Charles Soule, and Mark Guggenheim, who we just spoke to earlier on Turn a Page, and art by Phil Noto, Luke Ross, Stefano Raphael, and Medivh Musabekov. I apologize for messing the name. Celebrate a new era of Star Wars comics. Luke Skywalker finds himself in a wretched hive of scum and villainy, facing off against pirates. Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn and Tensu Rune are on the run from the villainous Corlith Wrath. And who is the mysterious Venny? And what is his connection to Darth Vader and Kylo Ren? So as you can see up there on the screen, there's a lot of stuff happening here. Who else here is ready for May the 4th coming up, day after New Comic Book Day?
Me.
Like, what a time to be a fan. And seeing what they have lined up. I mean, Rich, I know you're a movie guy, Star Wars. What's that mean to you?
Oh, I like the comic books too, but this is more up my alley. See, I actually know what's going on here. So I'm a big fan of the runs here. Everybody's doing an amazing run in the Star Wars comic realm. If you are for whatever reason not into the shows or the movies as of late, because I know there's some people who like to get a little belly aching about that, the comics are just hitting home runs, and you should be checking this out. And if you don't want to, just go out and buy a comic, this is a perfect opportunity. They're going to give you some really good stories here. Star Wars #1, showing you what's going on in the world that's going to be going on in this next year. And they have some of the best creators, period, writing this stuff, and people who really give a damn about the lore and about, everything that they put into it. And trust me, you will not regret picking up this and other books from that universe.
And we know that our resident Star Wars guy, Padawan J, is absolutely ecstatic about this.
Yeah.
He's collecting all the copies.
Yeah. It's a truth. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Qui-Gon. I love Qui-Gon. I think he's one of my favorite Jedis out there. But this new character, what's the connection between Vader and Kylo? Like, that's a bit of a gap, and I want to see how they fill that in.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of hype around that book. And then the last one I have from Marvel, I know Kat just brought this up in the chat. So this is Ironheart Marvel Voices #1 by Justina Ireland and more, and art by Julian Shaw and more. Celebrating a year of Marvel's voices with a brand new story involving Ironheart. Bestselling writer Justina Ireland blasts Ironheart into Chicago's past for a story of Black innovation through the ages, and explore the past year of Voices anthology with selections from Mystique and Destiny's star-studded wedding issue, Patriot's explosive return to superheroing, and the introduction of a brand new Ghost Rider and more. So a lot of cool stuff here. I know the Ironheart show is fastly coming on for Disney Plus, due out in June, last I heard.
Wow.
So there's a lot of...
She's stepping on Ghost Rider's head.
No, well, I think how this is kind of flying out.
It kind of looks a little, but it still looks cool.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, the whole
the
cover looks amazing. I'm just saying it's kind of like one of those, like, man, it's a lot going on, but a lot really cool stuff. Really good art and design on all the characters. It looks amazing. I think Ironheart's is a very, very underrated story.
Mhm.
I think that the fact that it's getting to take a center stage, not just on comics, but also in the small screen, if you will.
Yeah.
I think this is a great time for it. I think there's no better time. And then with the Voices movement, I think that they've been doing an amazing job of
Absolutely.
really showcasing some
Phenomenal.
heroes that may have been overlooked in the past and really giving them a center stage. And I love I can't wait to see this brand new Ghost Rider. I mean, obviously you get a little tease of it on that front page, but I think that there's a lot more there because the art looks amazing. So I'm all in for this.
Yeah. They do have an all ages book coming out involving Spider-Man and his amazing friends and Iron Man and his awesome friends too. So
Gotta love it.
yeah, like I say, they really covered the bases. Marvel really came out swinging on this one. I love seeing that too, especially when you see the big publishers are going and really giving something for the fans. And especially this goes coinciding with the independent ones coming out. I mean, we didn't get a chance to really cover Oni Press and Vault. They have some great stuff coming out. Titan. The list goes on and on. So if you want to find out more about that, freecomicbookday.com is the place you go. Or better yet, or even equally, I should say, go find your local LCS, the QR code at the top of the screen here. Make sure you go check that out and find out where to go this week, because this is a perfect time to get into comics, really see what's going on, because not only do you get to pick up some free ones, but you also get to see the wide variety of amazing stories that are currently out right now. Like, gentlemen, would you say this is one of like the biggest diverse years of comics that we've seen as fans?
Across the board, absolutely.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about like giving you a little taste of everything. The other cool part is you're going to get to be there with a lot of other people. This brings a lot of people to the shop, and so therefore, even if you don't go to the shop often, even if that's not really your bag, this is a good idea to go down and chat with people. If, like I said, some people have superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to just read the superhero books. Some people want to find something new. You know what? Not only are you going to get all these good opportunities to read something new, but you can also talk to people there who are reading stuff already and get their take. Like, hey, I'm into, somebody's going to ask you, what are you into? And you can say, I'm into X, Y, Z. And then the next thing you know, you're going to be able to say, oh, go read this book, go read that book. You're going to find some great stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that's not, highlighted on Free Comic Book Day that is still amazing out there from some really, really good publishers and creators. And you're going to want to check it all out, because like I said, a little bit of something for everybody. Horror's made a huge climb back in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome thing too. I just saw Wonder Soul pop up in the chat. Congratulations on the recent marriage there, my friend.
Yeah,
I just saw that up there. So definitely salute out there. And I'm seeing Daniel popping in there, Cats popping in the chat. Like, it's great to just see this, because it's kind of like on the small scale what you're going to see Saturday at the shops. Everybody's excited to be a fan. And I think right now more than ever, we need that, in society. We just need something to really rally around, and Free Comic Book Day is the perfect day to do it. Get exposed to new stories, creators, and more importantly, new fans. Because when you build up that fandom, that's what kind of weeds out all the toxicity, and you can really start celebrating what it's all about.
And on top of that, shop local.
Yes.
You're now shopping local. You're supporting a local business. And that's always a great thing. And like I said, most, if not all of the stores you will go to are going to have some kind of special as well. Usually they coincide them. You're going to be able to, I can't speak to what your individual store is going to do, but usually there's some kind of back issue sale. There's usually some kind of trade paperback sale. There's usually some kind of sales depending upon the store. And that's always a good way, to catch up and check out something new, but also a great way to support a local business. And this could be if this wasn't like your normal activity, this is a good time to maybe put together a pull list. This is maybe a good time to actually get in there, because the one nice thing about comics is, yes, you can read them digitally. And I have nothing against that. We have a lot of wonderful digital partners, and you should, but also the cool part about going to the shop is just spending time and talking to people. And I've found so many books to read just from talking to people at a shop, just because I was looking at something and somebody went, oh, you like that? You're really going to like this. And it just gives you just that opportunity to have a connection, but B, you can find some really cool stuff. Obviously outlets like us who are, giving you the reviews every Wednesday and doing all sorts of stuff, it's a good place to look for it. But hey, I'll tell you one better, just being able to talk amongst each other about what you love, you're always going to find a lot more stuff. Absolutely.
So that being said, that's what we had lined up for Free Comic Book Day. If you need more information in the liner notes, freecomicbookday.com has got you covered and then some. They do an amazing job at their website. And also Comic Book Shop Locator, which go to your shops, hit them up early. Hey, what are you doing for the day? and they will tell you all the sales they got going on. They'll tell you the events they got going on. Like, we're very fortunate up here, our local shop, doing some cosplay, doing some sales, doing some art. I mean, I believe they're doing some art stuff.
Yeah, they usually do every year.
Yeah,
I can't. We're not plugging them, but
Yeah.
it's a great place, and I'm sure. But the thing is a lot of shops are doing this. Like some of you, if you're in an area where it's a smaller shop, they're at least doing the discounts. If you're in a shop where
Yeah.
it's a big
I
area.
don't know if they're doing the beer promotion this year.
No,
That's why you need to go to your own shops and find out, because everybody does it different. But at the end of the day, it's all about celebrating the one of the great mediums we have, and that is comics.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, on behalf of Rich, Tom, and myself, we want to thank you for checking out this very special edition of Turn a Page. And we're going to kind of end it a little differently this week, because when you go to the comic shops on Saturday for free comic book day, and you see somebody struggling to find something, hand them one of the free comics and tell them to turn a page. We'll see you guys next week.